Good morning, sister friends, and welcome. If you're new here, hey, welcome. We are on episode 7 of Furniture Painting 101, and we are going to be discussing selling, shipping, and delivery. So I'm going to just get right into it. Share this if you know other people who are interested in being in the furniture painting business, and we're going to get started. Okay, where to sell. And a lot of these are common sense, but a lot of these are just these are the best places that I know of from my experience, and I've been doing this probably about 15 years, something like that. The number one place right now to sell is Facebook Marketplace. And whenever you're listing on there, it also lists all of the buy and sell groups in your area, and you can join them for, up to 100 miles, say, from your area, at least the largest ones from those areas. And that's a great source of reaching people who would be interested in your product. So I don't know how many they allow. They used to allow like 12 or 13, the actual marketplace plus 12 or 13 others. But I will say be very careful on the shipping, because Facebook tries to force you to do shipping on there right now. And we're going to discuss shipping later on this morning. But just make sure that it's not saying free shipping in there or anything, or you're including shipping, because the way they do shipping and calculate shipping and all that can cause a problem for you, especially in the situation, the way things are in our country with shipping right now. But definitely the Facebook Marketplace, and we're going to discuss your actual listing and what all to include farther on down the line today. But the next place is a vendor mall or a booth, and that's at your local antique store, flea market. Vendor mall is what they like to be called now. Another really good place that you often don't think of are salons, spas, and boutiques. They would love to use a very nice painted piece in part of their display. A beautifully painted armoire would look beautiful with, maybe a boutique's clothes hanging in it. Or at a beauty salon, if you have a really nice buffet, they can use that, as their coffee station, and then put the price on it. And they like to have nice, high quality pieces to use in their decor at spas and things like that. So that's a very good option, and the people who are often visiting those places are the people who have a lot of extra income to spare and who like having nice things. So you really get a good audience there for high quality products. Etsy, I sell probably a third of my furniture on Etsy, and I get a whole lot more money for it on Etsy than I do locally. We will discuss that a little bit more as well. There's also eBay. I know a lot of people are successful selling their pieces on eBay. I haven't sold one there yet, but who's to say I won't put one there in the near future. Your own website is the number one place. You're going to have a whole lot less fees there, and people who have come to know you and love your work, that's going to be the first place that they're going to look. So definitely make sure and list it on your website. Even if you only have a one-page website, it's okay. Those are easy to build yourself, and you can just have a page that says, hey, all about me, and this is what I have available right now. Facebook and Instagram stores. Now they allow the store that you build on your Facebook page, your business page, not your personal page, but they allow that. You can apply for being able to have an Instagram store as well, so they just share a store. You only have to build it once. But I do list all of my pieces on my Facebook store as well, those show up like underneath when you have a post. But then again, Facebook has some rules of everything must be shipped within 3 or 4 days and everything must be delivered within a week. Well, that's not going to happen with furniture. So I'm going to tell you my disclaimer that I put on down here below, but I don't know if that's a problem waiting to happen, because there's that Facebook also makes you guarantee someone can return something for up to 30 days and all of those kind of things. So you really have to be careful about that a little bit in your Facebook store. But as long as you think of all those options that we're going to discuss ahead of time, you should be good. Amazon Handmade is sort of like Etsy. You can set up an account there and list your pieces. You're going to have a good amount of expenses, maybe even a little more than Etsy, but that is another market where you can ask a whole lot more for your piece than often we can locally. I don't know if, you know, the larger areas that we sell to through Etsy and things like that, if all the furniture sells for that much in the larger cities in other states or not. I live in a rural area, and people don't like to spend as much on furniture here as they seem to in the areas that I'm able to ship to with Etsy, and soon I'm going to add to the Amazon Marketplace Handmade as well. But you have to remember the fees. But on the fees, you need to remember to include your selling fees along with your profit in the calculation of your selling price. And your fees can average up to 20% of your selling price. That is going to include credit card fees, commissions, advertising fees, etc. And that's whether it's sold in a local vendor mall, a local store, a boutique, or on Etsy. Facebook charges fees as well. And even on your own website, you have to pay PayPal fees or Stripe fees or Square fees or whatever, credit card processing fees. You won't have commissions and things like that to add, but you do have you know, website fees and things that you pay every month that have to be taken into consideration. So where you sell it, pay attention to that. I know for me with Etsy, it can sometimes be up to 20%, and that's absolutely crazy. When you're selling a $2,000 piece, you're looking at $400, and you're thinking, man, I didn't think about that. I'm reminding you right here, right now, you got to think about that. Look on the fees page. If you do off-site advertising, and if you do Etsy advertising, and plus they just raised their regular fees plus the credit card fees, and they're going to charge those fees even on your shipping. So you can't just think about, oh, I want $1,000 for this piece, so I'll add in, you know, $100 for fees, depending on where you're at. $100 is not going to cover your booth rent plus your commission at a place. You know what I'm saying? 10% is likely never to be enough to be added to your price to know that you're going to get what's profitable for you. And now on shipping. But for now, what I'm going to do is a demo of how to go on to UShip and list a piece, you know, to open for bids for shipping. And I'm going to do that and share my screen and make a separate video, share it after it's done, and put on YouTube, and then we'll put a link to it underneath in the description on YouTube. So look for that, the UShip demo. But UShip, that's like a capital U, ship, is the #1 place that we as furniture sellers who are going to sell furniture to go other places besides, you know, 20 minutes from our hometown, that we use for shipping. And right now it is absolutely crazy. It wasn't as crazy when I wrote this down as it is today. I'm going to give you the name of and the contact information for a couple of shippers that are independent, not on UShip. But I'm just sharing with you who I have experience with and what I know. But UShip is the main place, and what happens is you go in there, you put in the address of the recipient, you put in your address where it's going to be picked up. They're going to want to know, is it a residence? Is it a business? Do you have a a lift? Do you need a lift when it gets there? Do you want them to carry it in? White glove service? Do you want insurance? Absolutely. Have your customer buy the insurance. That really needs to be included, because you don't want this coming back to haunt you in the end if something happens on the way and all the paint gets rubbed off of one corner. So make sure that you don't pay that. The person buying, included in your shipping quote, it needs to be that insurance. And also when you use ship, and I'll tell more about this and I'll show it in the demo, but they also have a fee that they charge. So say you put in there for a quote from here to Georgia, and you're requesting a quote around $500. And yes, furniture shipping is very expensive. But on top of that $500, you can't just say, write to your customer or email your customer and say, hey, I've got it in, as a quote for a maximum of $500. We're waiting to see if we see somebody, because on top of that $500 is going to be like an $80 fee from ship plus $50 for the insurance. So you would have to say, $625, so that what they pay is going to cover all of the shipping. Other options are your local pack and ship place. Here it's called Pack and Ship Plus. I believe that's a chain. It's expensive, but they do overcompensate in their packaging. I shipped a canvas on Etsy, a painting of a chicken, with about a month ago, and I had calculated shipping at $30 and included it on there. And when I got to the Pack and Ship Plus, I normally pack myself and I didn't have time, so I brought it to the Pack and Ship Plus. It cost me over $60 to ship that painting. My customer didn't pay that. I had to absorb the loss because I was good for my word for what I quoted, and I believe that's what you should do unless it's huge. But you do need to, it's safe to write in bold terms, which we'll talk in a minute about, that the shipping will be calculated after the purchase is made, once you have the address of where it's going. There's FedEx Freight Direct. You can do that through FedEx. You can even ship through Greyhound, like the Greyhound bus lines. And you can get, boxes are available from U-Haul if you want to pack something yourself and pack it in a box. Say if it's something small like nightstands or a big mirror or something like that, and you're actually wanting to protect it yourself and ship it in a box, U-Haul is a good place to go and get those. Or you can buy boxes of most any size at your Pack and Ship, because they have cardboard in back to make the boxes if they don't have the correct size. But when you're shipping on the trucks and like U-Ship and all that, you don't pack it, where you use the shipping blankets and things for that. But here are the recommended shippers, people that I know. Just know that I just recently saw on Eagle Shipping, that's James Gambrill. He does the shipping for Dion Woods. It's Turquoise Iris. That's where I first heard of James. He is Oklahoma based, but he has other drivers working with him now, and they are nationwide. But they, like other small businesses, especially shipping businesses, are struggling right now when you're looking at, $1,000 to fill your truck up with fuel, and that only lasts one day. Well, they can't bring your piece of furniture across the country for $500 if it's going to cost them, $3,000 in gas to get there. So what they are often doing is, instead of, hey, I'm headed up to the Northeast, anybody who has pieces, they're going to go to the Northeast this week, the West next week, the Southeast or Southwest the following week after that. It's taken a couple more weeks or even several weeks for some of these companies to be able to get your piece to the new place, because they have to wait until their truck's going to be full. You can't, nobody's going to want to pay the full $3,000 worth of gas, much less their time, wear and tear on their vehicles, insurance, business expenses, and all the things that these trucking companies have to pay to ship one piece. So they need to get their truck as full as they can get it to go to each region of the country so that each person sending something shares a lot of that expense. So just know it's not always been like it is. Hopefully our economy will pick back up and fuel prices will go back down before a lot of these small business people end up not being able to survive the fuel issues. So James is extremely experienced in bringing furniture across the country. That's all he does. He has people who work with him. He has a Facebook page that's at Eagle Shipping on Facebook, and his cell phone number is 405-808-5802. Put that in your phone. My phone's up there, I would show you. Put that in your phone and save it under shipping, and then you have it when you need it. Or make sure and like his page online. I've used, if you live in the southern part of the country, going from Texas up through the Carolinas and the southeast area of the country where I'm at, I use Andy Prial. I think that's how you pronounce it, Prial. That's Andy Logistics Furniture Transport. And he may go further now. I don't know. You would just have to call him and see. His phone number is 518-424-2174. That's Andy Logistics Furniture Transport for the Southeast United States. When you make your listing, things that you're going to need to include, not just, hey, it's beautiful and I painted it with, you know, DIY Bohemian Blue or Dixie Belle Antebellum Blue. People probably do want to know that so that they can be familiar with the shade and know it's going to match things in their home. But they need to know the dimensions, so they need to know the length, the width, the height. And what I prefer to do, makes it easier on me, is to take a picture with my measuring tape on the piece. And that way, when I'm flipping back through and I'm going, where in the world did I put the measurements? I got to go measure that dang piece again. Is just take a picture of the end of your tape measure on it, go in each direction, and include that in the pictures of the listing. Then you can't argue with it and think that, you know, something's wrong later on. Make sure and include the brand of paint and the colors used, because sometimes somebody may want to paint, say they're buying a bed from you and because they already have nightstands, but they want to paint them to match. Tell them what the brand and the colors used, and include some care instructions. This is painted with chalky style paint. It needs to cure for 30 days to dry from the inside out. You can put stuff on it in, you know, after about a week that's light, and don't slide it around. But in order to get full use of it or move things around or put something heavy on it, please wait 30 days. Clean it with a mild cleanser. Re-wax every 6 months. Whatever the care instructions are for your piece, make sure and include that in your listing. And, you know, you can even print one out and put it in one of the drawers. But when you're doing your description, the more beautiful you can make the description, the more likely your piece is going to sell. And the more details you get, or the more personal story you get, such as these well-made chairs are appointed with leather with, what would you call that? What do you call these things? Tacks, with metal tacks around the edges, double stitching through the seams. The details, I used Dixie Belle dark or black wax to make sure that all of the details pop. I used these match a piece that I have in there that I painted with Antebellum Blue, and used the dark wax to age it. There's on the top I used Dixie Belle No Pain Gel Stain in walnut. Put all of the details in there and say that these are a sturdy chair. This thing probably weighs 40 pounds. It, you know, you're going to have the dimensions and everything on there. It's not going to wobble. It's a sturdy chair. It beautiful decor. Just really embellish and talk lovingly about your piece. Another thing that's really, really good to do, everything is hot on video right now. Every platform wants you to be using video for something, and now even Amazon and Etsy, everybody wants you to include a video. So one thing that's really good is to go around the piece, open the doors, pull out the drawers, show the hardware how it moves, or you know, that it rolls or whatever, any of the little details, so they can see if the drawers stick. They can see if they have dovetailed drawer put togetherness, whatever words you would use for that. But do just a little short video, pulling in and out the drawers, opening and closing the doors, so that people can see how easy or hard that is to do. And it just sets you apart just a little bit more from the ones that don't include that. And make sure to get photos from every angle. You want a photo straight on, a photo from this side, a photo from this side, a photo down on the top, a photo at an angle, a photo showing up close the details, and anything that might be wrong with it, take a picture of that. Even though you're thinking, oh, I don't want to highlight that, and they may not notice this little chip in the finish right here. Show them the picture of the chip in the finish, because you don't want them to be disappointed. You want to be forthcoming in anything that's there. So show a picture of anything you would want to see if it was, if it was you. If you have a drip on there and you don't mind the drip being there because this thing is hand painted, it's not supposed to look like a factory finish, take a picture of that and say, this is hand painted. This is not scarring the finish here, but I do want you to know you're getting something that I poured my heart and soul into, not something that a robot spray painted. So make sure and have pictures from every angle, including any issues or damages. And in bold print, this is the way that I do it, price does not include shipping. Let me just read to you what I put. A quote will be provided after purchase. Once delivery address is sent, delivery can take 2 to 6 weeks or more depending on the shipping company. Quotes can take a few days and can vary, but we will get you the best available shipping price. If you would like an advance shipping quote, I can get an estimate, but until the purchase is finalized, we will not know the exact quote. Shipping is based on the size of the piece, whether there's glass or a mirror, the distance between the pickup location and the delivery, but you should expect a minimum of $400 to $800 on average. I hate to even put that. I'm going to discuss that in just a second. But further distances can be considerably more. And I used to put $400 to $600 because that's what it always averaged. Right now, it's at the point to where I think the price of shipping is fixing to double. And I don't know what us as furniture people are going to do about that, except for the cost is the cost and we can't feel guilty, and I'm not going to take less for my piece that I put my heart and soul into because the shipping is a lot. So you just have to make sure that your customer understands by putting this bold disclaimer in there and discussing it with them if you need to, that it's non-refundable once they buy it from me. Like on Etsy, mine says that if you pay me $2,500 for this buffet and then you find out that the shipping's going to be $2,000, then you owe me another $2,000 in order to get it to you. And that's business. That's not being ugly. That's business, but it can get very expensive, and we just really have no way of knowing right now from day to day how much those prices are going to go up. Prepare to ship and deliver. You're going to need furniture blankets. I've mentioned this before that I include those in the price of the piece, and I don't expect to get them back. It's wonderful if I do, but I don't expect to. At here, there's Harbor Freight or Northern Tool, and I'm sure a trillion other places, the U-Haul place and all like that. But the first two places I mentioned, they're like $8 a piece, and they're just a quilted thing that's not going to last forever, but you don't have to throw it out when it wears down a little bit. But those are what you put over your piece to protect it from rubbing or banging or up against something and getting scratches on it. So include, depending on the size of the piece, in your calculation for prices. But you need to include that in the price because they need to pay that, not you. And if you're delivering it yourself, you're going to need straps and bungee cords. Usually there's little eye hooks in the side of the trailer. You will put your piece in, roll it in probably on rollers or not, pick it up and carry it in, put the furniture blanket over it, and then put the strap around it and strap it to the eye hooks on the side of the trailer so it doesn't move in transport. A care card. This is similar to what we talked about earlier with the care instructions, but a lot of people do this. You can or not include it in your price if you do, but that's a care card, how to care for their furniture, how to clean it. They can't use Lysol on it if it's a piece of painted furniture, which is what we're talking about. But a care package to go in there. A lot of people, you can put it in a cute little box or put it in a Ziploc or whatever. Get a very small container, like a maybe a 1 ounce furniture 1 ounce sealable, heavy duty plastic container, and put some touch-up paint in it and some touch-up wax if you used a dark wax or whatever. So if there are any issues of scratches or where paint has rubbed off or anything on the way, you can tell them that their touch-up paint is in with their care card in the top drawer along with one of your business cards. A lot of people staple their business card to the back of the piece or write their business information and contact information on the back of the piece because they may forget where they got it, and their best friend comes over and says, "Oh my God, that's the most beautiful chair I've ever seen. I want one just like it. Where'd you get it?" And they're like, "Oh, I got it on Etsy." Well, not if your business card is stapled to the back or your name and email address or whatever. So, but include your business card in and the care card in with the touch-up paint in there, and it just sort of puts you one step above everybody else, and they pay for it. You're not paying for it. Include it in your price. When they come to get the furniture, when the driver comes, watch them load it. If you feel like they're being too rough, say, "Hey, that's painted furniture, and if this gets scratched or if this gets rubbed off, they're gonna file a claim on you for insurance." And those drivers, especially if you go through U-Ship, they don't get paid until the customer receives the piece of furniture and tells you, and then it's been delivered, and you ask the customer, "Is everything good? Do you love it? Is everything great?" And then you go back to U-Ship and say, "Everything's great." Then your driver gets paid. So they don't want something happening that's going to delay that when they just picked up a piece of furniture in Louisiana and drove it to North Carolina. They're going to want to be paid. So watch them load it and remind them to be careful. Do not ship your piece of furniture until it has cured 21 to 30 days. That's the thing about this furniture paint, is it's going to be dry to the touch, but that doesn't mean it's cured underneath. Like if you ever go and get a pedicure or a manicure and you sit there and you feel like, "Oh my gosh, I've sat here 15 minutes. Then they put you under that blue light. That's curing it. But they sit you under there and you're under there another what seems like 10 or 15 minutes, and you're thinking, "This stuff is dry, man. I just want to go home. I don't want to sit here anymore." Then you pull off that flimsy flip-flop and you put on your shoe and you screw up your toenail. That's what can happen to your paint. It looks dry, it feels dry, but it's not cured, and these paints will sort of form a skin that's dry on top, but until the underneath layers have completely dried and it's cured, it can get an indentation in the paint or a scrape in the paint or damage of some kind of sort. So having even the furniture blanket on it with a tightened strap around it can rub that paint if it's not cured. So as much as they want it sooner, you need to let your customer know, I've finished your commissioned piece, but it needs to cure before I ship it, because I'm afraid that something can happen along the way and I don't want you to be disappointed. If they're begging for it because it's their mama's 50th anniversary party and they need it to be there for that, then you need to type up a disclaimer and send it to them that says, I understand that my furniture artist recommends that I not have this piece shipped for 31 days, but I really need it sooner. So if there happen to be any incidental damages, I understand they're on me. Get insurance, once again, included in the shipping quote. I've never had anything happen to a piece, but I can only imagine. So these people who just drive a truck for a living, and let me say this too real quick about U-Ship. These are not, most of the time, 18-wheelers that are coming to your house. This is Joe Blow down the road who has a truck and a trailer who wants to go to North Carolina and going to have you pay for his gas because he's going to haul furniture. Sometimes it's like James and they do this for a living and that's the only thing that they do. But sometimes it's just people like, your next door neighbor Bill, who seems to screw up everything in the world, thinks he's now a furniture hauler. When you get somebody like James, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but he hauls furniture all day, every day for years, and he knows you got to be careful. So take that into account, that watch what they're doing and get the dang insurance. The driver will secure your piece with a blanket and bungees and straps in his truck. There's no need for you to tape the drawers shut or any of that stuff. All that's going to be held in by your furniture blanket and your bungees and straps. The freight, and I think I've mentioned this, but I'm going to do it again. The freight service charges a fee over and above the driver. That's the U-Ship company themselves. It's usually $50 to $100, and the insurance is separate as well. For example, the freight estimate is $300 plus the freight fee of $50 plus the insurance of $50. You charge the customer $400. You're not making any money off of that. That's what it costs, and they have to pay all of those fees. You don't see these fees up front until the driver has accepted your bid. So you have to know U-Ship's going to charge a fee and there's insurance, and add them in advance. So if you're looking for a quote for $300, you got to say $400 because that's what it's really going to cost. When discussing the ballpark figures with your customer, the drivers are independent contractors who have trucks and trailers who pick up pieces for extra money when their load is not full, going between predetermined destinations. So this may be somebody that's hauling a lawnmower for Tractor Supply, but their truck's only half full. Tractor Supply is actually paying the freight for this to get from here to Tennessee, but they're like, I could fit 3 pieces of furniture in here and make an extra $300 for my trip. Smart. That's smart thinking. So they also have reputations, and they don't want to ruin their reputation, so they're not just out to damage your piece, but it is, part of your responsibility to make sure. So that's all I have on this. If you've had any questions, make sure you put them in the comments. We're going to be going over the frequently asked questions. I'll read some of these to you real quick in case this spurs a question for you. What's the Pantone color of the year and why does it matter? When starting a furniture business, how do you know what's trending, especially in your area? Is furniture flipping profitable? How do you know what furniture to flip? What's the most popular color for painted furniture? How do you coordinate paint colors on furniture? How long does it take to flip a piece? How do I get started shipping? We went over that today. Is it really no prep with chalk paint? And what happens if I don't seal a piece that I painted? So if you have other questions you want me to answer in that, along with the pricing for profit that we're going to have for next week, I'm always here if you want to DM me. Just send me a message and I'm happy to help. I make a living doing it, so, and lots of other women do too. So if you're wanting it as a little bit of a side hustle, absolutely you can make some money if you price right. Or you can make it your business like I do. and as long as you enjoy it. So I want to make sure that you enjoy it as well. But that's all for today. I appreciate you. Please make sure and share this if you know other people who are in the, or in groups or whatever, who are in the furniture flipping business or thinking about being in the furniture flipping business, who this would benefit. I would appreciate that. And I will talk to you soon.